Welcome back to World's News, where we present you the hottest news from all over the entire world. This week's topics are an ex-pope admitting to having known about child abuse in the Catholic Church, the Global Education Day, if there will be a Russian-Ukrainian war, China changing the end of the movie Fight Club, and Houthi rebels attacking the United Arab Emirates. We hope that you'll enjoy this week's news, and let's jump right into the video. Expope admits having known about abuse in the Catholic Church. This may come as a shock to many Catholic viewers, but on Monday, ex-Pope Benedict XVI admitted to having been at a meeting in 1980 where an abusive priest was discussed. A few years earlier, Pope Benedict denied having attended this meeting, but now, an independent investigation regarding abuse in the Archdiocese of Munich, where Benedict was Archbishop from 1977 to 1982, showed minutes of the meeting, saying he was present. After that, the ex-pope said that he was very sorry and asked to be excused. To be honest, we don't know what to say about the countless cases of abuse in the Catholic Church, because we don't want to deform it any more than it already is. I mean, for the people that believe in the priests because they believe in God and want to learn more about him, this is really hard. But all of these abusive priests don't represent the church itself, so we're gonna close this topic with a statement that abuse is bad and just apologies aren't enough to make up for the done damage. But the Catholic people that didn't abuse anyone aren't to blame just for believing in a God. The Global Education Day. Last Monday, the 24th of January, was the Global Education Day, and as the UNESCO phrased it, education is a human right, not a privilege. Unfortunately, this world isn't even close to acting that way, with 72 million children staying uneducated in the last year. Many charities and foundations, as well as charity projects by schools, universities and many more are doing their best to change that, and to make education for all children all over the world possible. Since this is World's News, we hope that soon every child will be able to understand what we're talking about on this channel and why it is important for our world. So feel free to donate money to children in need or to become a supporter of one child in countries like Nigeria or Egypt, where you pay for their education and stay in touch via letters. To learn more about that, click on this link in the description and make a child's future much brighter. Will there be a Russian-Ukrainian war? You've probably all seen the meme that the Ukrainian government used to answer to more Russian troops being stationed along the border dividing the two states in Europe. By now, Russia deployed around 100,000 troops along the Russian-Ukrainian border, but it denies having any intention of invading Ukraine. Until now, the two sides have agreed to keep talking and therefore to find a way out of whatever could be going to happen there. Paul Adams, the Moscow correspondent of BBC News, wrote that not only Ukraine, but countries in the region like the Baltic states of Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia would be worried about the possibility of war as well, which is understandable. Russia is one of the states that in terms of armory could be equal to the armory of the United States. That means nukes, other ballistic missiles and of course smaller weapons, let alone the intelligence services. So being in war with Russia can be quite a struggle, as the US can probably confirm after the Cold War. This conflict has countless outcomes, with peace of course being the best, but the conflict could also degenerate into war. This could be a conflict through hacking, or a conflict involving real weapons or just economic disasters, like Russia cutting off the gas for countries that are supporting Ukraine. In fact, all of these countries that you can see right now are using Russian gas, so that could be a fatal move as well. As said, peace would be the best outcome for this, but we don't know how likely that really is. But since we're all civilized countries with great diplomats on both sides, let's hope for the best, and here on World's News, we'll keep you updated. China changing the end of the movie Fight Club. I think that many of you have seen Fight Club, right? Well, of course, because it's a classic. The movie came out back in 1999, starring Brad Pitt and Edward Norton. For all the people that don't know what this movie is about, two men start fighting each other and like it. By doing that, they attract other men and they start the Fight Club. After several crimes, a man gets killed by the police. After that, the project of the Fight Club to end corporations and materialism blows several buildings away and some people die, I guess. Well, if you haven't guessed it yet, I haven't watched the movie either. But the point is that the criminals win, okay? Good. Well, China is known for being quite a censorious state, and they are going to change the ending of the movie. In that new Chinese version, the authorities win, and the whole point of the movie is therefore destroyed. This caused a huge wave of hate against the Chinese government and the new version of the movie. The author said, "How amazing, I had no idea. Justice always wins. Nothing exploded. Fini." And the US Senator Ted Cruz, a Republican representing Texas, wrote, "The second rule of the Fight Club is, we will do and say whatever the Chinese communist censors tell us to do and say." It's obvious that this action by the Chinese government once again showed us that a state this censorious shouldn't be allowed to just do to its inhabitants what the government wants. But that is nothing that any of us could influence, so we'll have to accept it. Houthi rebels attack the United Arab Emirates. Have you ever heard of the Houthi movement? I hadn't until a few days ago, but they have quite the interesting story. It started back in the 90s, when they still established school clubs and summer camps in Yemen, and they weren't called Houthi back then. But when Hussein al-Houthi was killed in 2004, some members of this group got more and more radical, and soon they would chant anti-American and anti-Jewish slogans after Friday prayers. And I just wanted to make sure that nobody gets me wrong here. Only a part of the members got radical, but unfortunately that was enough to form a group of Houthi rebels. Now, fast forward to more recent times. The Houthi have been fighting their civil war against American soldiers and the Yemen government for quite some time. A few days ago, that civil war has crossed a line and has now become more of an international conflict. The Houthi have threatened to attack the United Arab Emirates after they backed militias that are blocking the Houthis' attempts to capture oil-producing regions in Yemen. As a clarification of their threat, the Houthi attacked the cities Dubai and Abu Dhabi with several ballistic missiles, which could all be intercepted thanks to the Dubaian air defense system. This conflict in the southern part of Asia could degenerate into another big war in these states, like the partly still ongoing wars in Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq and other states. Consequences of conflicts this big were already covered in our last video, so we hope that this conflict won't develop any further. These were the most important and funny news from the past week. If you missed any topics or regions that we forgot to cover, please let us know in the comments. Apart from that, we hope that you could enjoy this week's news, and now to this week's bonus fact. A group of 60 conspirators decided to assassinate Caesar at a meeting of the Senate. Collectively, the group stabbed Caesar a reported 23 times, but his death ultimately had the opposite impact of what his assassins hoped.